You are now tuned in to Melanin Confidential.
In case you missed it, check out some clips from our last episode.
Some of the girls are like how some of my friends, my guy friends were. And it's like, man, you moving like how we were. Shit, I would want you to be the one that changed me, not me having to change you in essence.
Right.
So,
Okay.
As an individual, you need to complete yourself.
Yes.
Because you don't want to be that guy. You don't want to be that girl. Your spouse goes off and you oh, my baby go. I don't know what to do. Like, nah, bro. Like, yo, wifey gone was good. Like, I'm still me, and I want the same for my wife as well. So.
Right.
Don't waste your time nor the other person's time who you pursue or who may wants to pursue you. If you know that it's not going to go anywhere, like just leave it be. We only have a limited time on this earth, so take advantage of the time that you do have.
So now that you're all caught up, let's get into it.
Yes, it's time for the fishbowl questions.
Yay.
So Shay mentioned it earlier in the episode, but basically we have different categories for the guys. So we are going to allow them to pick, and this is at random, so they don't know what question they're going to get. And then they're just going to go ahead and give their answer or response. It doesn't have to be a long answer, but if you do want to expound on the idea, definitely do so. So what you guys are going to do is pick the question. Then you're going to read the question aloud, and then you're going to give your answer. So, real quick, Chelsea, what are the categories that we have today?
All right, so we got real life situations, viewer's choice, which came from our poll on Instagram, just some random questions, and then a couple dating.
Nice. So, we are going to start with Derek.
What
It's on me?
category? Yep.
So, what category are you going to pick?
So I think I'm going to hop in viewer's choice since I am a viewer.
Okay.
Nice.
I listen to all episodes subscribed on Apple Podcasts as well as
You better
Spotify.
plug. You better plug.
Thank you.
Here we go. First question. What are thoughts around a woman dating a man society feels you are too good for because his job is not as good as yours?
Ooh.
So my thought is, and I know I'm an anomaly when it comes to this, that you shouldn't care what anybody else has to say about you or your relationship with your significant other. If you are comfortable in your situation and you know this is who you want to be with, you have to know that there are going to be some people out there who don't care or who just going to shoot holes in whatever it is just because they can. You know, so you have to be confident in yourself that this is what you want to do, and don't let anybody try to break down your foundation when it comes to whatever you have going on.
I hear you on that one, but I think it was Michelle Obama that just recently said it. Like, you need to date somebody that's on your level.
Equally yoked.
Yeah.
So equally yoked when it comes to mental. Like I think the thing is like somebody can have a very strong mental capacity, but don't necessarily have the financial stability that they might have because of the whatever job title it may be. So somebody can be working in the public sector. It just can be a very intellectually stimulating person, but public sector employees don't make as much money, especially teachers.
Right.
So they can be out here doing some great jobs for the community. They don't bring in the paper, but this is like this is a huge pay gap from that standpoint. But they can be the perfect person for you.
Right.
Yeah, I think that kind of goes back to, I think you said this earlier about, and we talked about the whole like pay difference, but making sure that you can do what you can do to be a provider. So while we talked about like there are, black women, we make more money now and we're more independent. I know, speaking for me personally, like the pay thing is not a big thing for me. It's more of like, where can you pick up in those other areas? Like if I'm making more and if I'm going to be the quote unquote breadwinner, then maybe you should be picking up a little bit more in this area. Like showcase your talents. If you can cook, maybe you'll be the person that does most of the cooking. Or if if you're a handy person, or maybe you'll be the person like, hey babe, got in the car, saw your light was on, just little things like that. So I think I agree with you on all of that. Just to say.
So that was good. Lance, it is your turn to
My
pick
turn.
a question.
What will it be?
You know, I like to keep it real, so we're gonna go in real life.
Okay.
See what's
I like
going
that.
on. Do you believe guys and girls can be friends? I definitely do. I think once you get into a relationship where you really are in love with the person that you're with, I'm the personal belief that everybody else you lose attraction towards. Not saying I like I said, I haven't reached you guys' status, so I don't know for sure. But I feel like once you get there, everyone else would be non-existent to you in a romantic way. So I mean, I do feel like guys and girls can have a platonic relationship. I don't think that'd be out of the norm.
I don't.
You
don't think
Ooh,
guys and
let's
I feel
hear
like
it.
I feel like you can be associates, acquaintance, whatever case may be, but like to feel comfortable enough to be like, yeah, I'm gonna text him at X amount of time just to see what's up, like friends. Nah, that's dead. Unless my wife knows you prior, but anything past the marriage, like we just got married, it's no new friends on some Drake.
So you're more so new friends, but if they were
Okay,
old friends
gotcha.
that came into the mix before?
Old friends that they know my wife. My wife knows them.
Well, what if they're a new friend that you could introduce to the wife?
Yeah, introduce them, and like I said, it's an acquaintance. It's not a.
Oh yeah, no, I definitely agree
The
that
word
if you
friend
become
is a big
friends, you
word.
have to like introduce your friends to your significant other.
Yeah, but I
if
say
you
at
have
the
a
same
friend
time-
that if you have a friend that your significant other hasn't met, I believe that's definitely a huge issue. And
Red flag.
That's definitely a red flag.
Yeah, I'm just not big on the. I got acquaintances, but friends, it's a heavy word.
Yeah,
and I don't give it.
And I think to your point, it also depends on what you deem as friends,
Right.
how loosely you use that term.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Some
Friend
people,
is a heavy word. to me,
right.
so.
If a friend is a heavy word to you, I can see that because, being married, I would say that there is a touch and go or a sensitivity that would come into play if there were new people coming into the mix versus people that already existed.
Right.
So I can understand and appreciate that aspect, being married.
This was actually a topic in Chelsea and I's relationship. Prior to me meeting her, I had a good portion of female friends. So this was something that I intentionally made aware and been completely transparent in the situation. Whenever one of my female friends would reach out to me, I would show Chelsea what's going on. I would tell her what type of conversation we had. And then every opportunity that I could to introduce her to my female friends, I did. Now, as our relationship grew, the amount of communication I had with my female friends decreased. Out of respect, from their respect, out of Chelsea, but also too is just that type of phase in the relationship. Chelsea and I start talking a lot more and a lot more frequently, so that I can't occupy the time that I would, that I reserve for her and communicate with her and let that be filled in with somebody else. Because whoever you spend time with, that's who you grow with. So if you don't spend time with your significant other, you're not growing.
We gonna quote that.
I like that.
And also, back on that friends thing, no time being left alone one-on-one.
Yes. Yeah, that's very important.
That's dead
Right.
too.
Yeah.
Unless we're in like a
Social
open
setting.
Yeah.
But just one-on-one at the crib, one-on-one just in a real romantic, nah, that's dead too.
Yeah, and to your point, Bassie, you mentioned something before, which was the time thing, in terms of when you, I know, like if I know I'm communicating with somebody that is in a relationship or married, like I'm very mindful of that because I know, not saying I would feel some type of way, but I would just respect the person in their relationship.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't even want to come across as, any thoughts or any red flags that go off in their significant other's mind.
Yeah, 8 o'clock is dead. Hey, don't hit me after 8, bro.
That also goes for your if female friends, if you're a female, and guy friends if you're a guy.
Yeah.
Just gonna put that out there. It's just, this is something that if you truly respect their relationship, respect their time.
Right.
Yeah, and I mean, in our last episode, I talked about the situation of that where I had a male friend and he, hit me up at a late hour, and it was an issue with me and my ex, and even though I didn't respond back to it, but it was an issue with him, so I understood that. But then we kind of elaborated a little bit more on the insecurity thing and different things like that. So, but I'm really big on that, just maintaining that respect.
Bessie, it's your turn. What category are you gonna pick?
I'm a people's champ, you know what I mean?
All right,
People's choice.
I'm for the people.
Nice.
This thing long?
The people want to know, like they were ready.
What are your thoughts around parents that don't like your boyfriend, fiance, or husband? Let's go.
I want to hear this.
You better listen to them. You better listen to them.
You think you better listen to your parents?
I think you better listen to your parents.
Oh, wow. You think they notice things that maybe
I feel like
you
it's
don't?
your parents for a reason, depending on your relationship with your parents.
Yeah.
But most parents, I believe, mama is always looking out for their son, regardless. And almost every chick that I done brought to my mom, and my mom was like, number one, I'm Nigerian. So it's already, it's already like, hey, oh yeah, she's very pretty, but this one is no good. So it's like, okay, I take it to my mom's, and you know what I'm saying. If she not feeling her, it's already setting the tone of what the relationship is gonna be like, what the marriage is gonna be like, and you don't want them as a married man. You don't want them problems. Your wife and your moms don't get along. Oh God.
Because in all honesty, my mom has been right on all the ones that she told me to leave alone and to go the opposite way. I definitely had to come back and be like, Mom,
you need to listen to your parents.
So I gotta agree with Mom.
Hey, I second that because you'll be out here heartbroken,
Yeah,
and Mom was like, look, I tried to tell you, but you
Come
know,
on, baby.
but at the end of the day, she's like, look, you your own man. You gotta make your own decisions. I can't tell you who to love, but I can tell who's not good for you though.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dang, that's good.
Yeah.
Were y'all not expecting that one?
No.
No.
I think yes and no. I was kind of like leaning either way. I know for me personally, it has been a struggle if I brought somebody home that my parents didn't like, because it makes it awkward when you want to take them to like family functions and just like different things. It's just like, this is awkward, and then they're ready to go, and then people looking at y'all crazy. So yeah, I can agree with you on that.
Well, okay then. Let's go ahead and no, I don't disagree, to be honest with you guys. I totally agree.
I mean,
but I also feel like
you're gonna be a mother eventually as well, and I feel like you're gonna have your best interest for your child.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
you're gonna be able to. You're gonna have that eye for your child. You know what your child likes and what's gonna work for them. So,
yes, I agree.
gotta look at that.
I feel like in the moment you don't see it all the time, but it's after the fact, and you're like,
oh,
God,
yeah, I see it now. You said God.
No, women do be too, because let me tell you,
is real.
no, not about that, but it's just not even that.
That too.
Look, I didn't that. Not even that. It's just speaking from personal experience. I think, a lot of the things that my parents saw that I didn't see, it was just like in having conversations with them after the fact, they were like, I didn't want to say too much, like you said, Derek, because you grown or whatever the case may be, but we already saw it. We knew it wasn't gonna work.
And you weren't gonna listen. So.
Definitely, I can agree with that. So let's go ahead and do another round, because we got a lot of questions.
Yes.
Your turn again, Derek.
So I'm gonna go ahead and jump in this random piece.
Okay.
Are you?
Get it together.
Random piece of paper. All right. Is an emotional or physical connection more important to you, and why? Emotional is more important to me because at the end of the day,
that's all we got right now. That's all we got. Sorry.
Bruh.
I was waiting on her to say something the whole time.
I was trying to hold it.
You was like,
Bruh.
sir, you already know what time it is.
But look though,
That's funny.
I still am physically attracted to you though.
You better love it.
So at the end of the day, we got a physical connection. Just because we haven't had sex doesn't mean we're not physically connected.
And you talked about that too, Chelsea,
Yeah,
like connecting on other levels, like physically being able to show love in different ways, physically.
And create that intimacy.
Yeah, but just to go back on the emotional piece, it's important to me because beauty fades. Your body changes.
I'm gonna keep it up for you though.
I appreciate that. But you can only have sex for so long throughout the day. Like your body physically will not have sex for 24 hours. So you have to have something else outside of that. So you have to have an emotional and a mental connection. So mental is big for me. Like if you can't stimulate me mentally, then there's no reason for me to be able to stick around. But you have to be able to have communication, and emotion leads to communication. So the more emotional connection that you have, the more you're willing to share whatever it may be with your significant other.
That's what's up.
I personally feel like they're both have to be equal. Because I know I was in a relationship one where I wasn't necessarily as physically attracted to her as much as I was emotionally. And I think that led, granted I was very young, but that led to a lot of my infidelity in that relationship because I wasn't as attracted to her physically. And I think they both have to play a part because I've been in relationships where I'm extremely physically attracted to you, but emotionally is not a connection there. So I feel like you have to meet in the middle ground somewhere on both ends because I think both of those play a part or a whole in you falling in love. I think it is emotional and a physical toll that takes on you.
Gotta have that balance.
That was a great answer.
Yeah. I don't disagree with that at all. I actually feel like they're kind of interlinked because if you are emotionally stimulated, if you're getting what you want from your partner from a mental level, it's easy to open yourself up physically. You know what I'm saying? To me, it's like a natural transition. Like when my man, I know that he cares about me. I know that he's in tune. I know that he's intuitive. I know that he's paying attention. That's sexy. Like, what you mean? Like, he's on point. So, I get it. I get it for sure.
I agree 100%.
Yeah. So, Lance, speaking of which, it is your go.
It's my turn. What advice would you give singles who are trying to meet someone? In all honesty, I don't feel like there's any advice. I haven't made it, like I said, to you guys status yet, but I feel like when it hits you, I think it's just more of destiny. I don't know if it's anything you can do to make yourself more advantageous besides, becoming the best person of yourself that you can be. But I think when it's just time, it's just something that you can't even necessarily control.
Right.
So,
What was the question again?
what advice would you give singles who are trying to meet someone?
So you could answer this one.
Therapy.
Working on it. So all goes back to working on yourself.
Work on yourself before you even mess with anybody else. Work on yourself.
I agree with
I
that.
feel like that shines through. Like when you're true to yourself and you're confident with who you are as a person, it shines through. Like that light just comes through to other people. Not even just like the males.
Yeah.
But just generally speaking.
Yeah.
You know?
I would agree with that. And I saw something on Instagram that said something about heal your wounds so that you won't bleed on somebody else. I've had a lot of conversations with like different people, a couple of homeboys or whatever, where they say they will date this girl and they're paying for the debts that her old man did. You know what I'm saying? And
hurt people.
Yeah, and so it made it difficult to connect with the person, and then it ended up, like you said, hurting them. And now they have this kind of messed up view of dating and women in general. So I agree with that. Therapy is big. I'm in therapy.
And the therapy is not just for women, bro. Like,
Yeah.
for men as well. I go to therapy. I don't put a whole bunch of my homeboys on, and it's really beneficial. So, fellas that are listening, please go to therapy. You ain't no punk if you do it.
Yes.
You got a lot of things in your mind. We hold a lot of things in because that's just our nature.
Especially as black
I was
men.
just about to
period.
say that.
Like,
Yeah.
y'all
Y'all go through a lot.
Yeah, y'all do.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's great advice. So, Bassie, now it is your turn to pick
Chill.
from the jar.
Real life situations.
I know, right?
And can't
Oh,
even
my
get in there.
head. Yeah. All right. Dang, why I'm getting all these long joints? It's double-sided. It's your second date, and she's already asking you about meeting her family. What do you do? See, the African in me was about to come out, but I'll just say politely, just so you can't do it. It's just too early in the game. You don't know my favorite color. You don't know what dog I want. You don't know any of the things. Just you don't know anything about me, seriously. So I can't put you in front of just me speaking, in front of a Nigerian household that's going to tear you apart. So why are you with my son?
African
Can you cook? Do you know his favorite meal? You don't know. So, like, for me personally, no. We got to go. Even with me being married, I didn't want to get married until we had some sweat equity in our relationship before we even started talking about it. So I'm not going to have you meet my family.
So then this is kind of like just an improv question, kind of thought. Like, have y'all seen the Netflix series Love is Blind?
Yeah.
Or have y'all heard about it?
Oh my God, yes.
I've seen a couple episodes.
Or like 90 Day Fiance or anything like that?
So, I actually watched 90 Day Fiance with my fiance. It's actually a very crazy show. I watch more reality TV with Chelsea than I've ever had.
I don't watch reality TV like that.
You ain't got to
It
like.
was 90 Day Fiance. 90 Day Fiance.
But she
and
did
Love
give me a
Is
hook because it's like watching. It's like a crash scene. You know, it's like when you rubbernecking on the highway. You know you don't need to look, but you have to look.
Mm-hmm.
And so, just that's going off another direction. But just to piggyback off that, you have to know that this person, like this woman that you're going to introduce to your family is legit, because especially for men who have a very very good relationship or very strong relationship with their mothers, they are very protective to make sure that their sons aren't hurt, you know. And so it's going to be a scare tactic in a sense, because of the wall that they put up from the beginning, just because they don't know you.
Yeah.
So they, you know, as if they can see how you make the guy feel, but if you aren't, but if the guy doesn't have any feelings towards you, there's no reason for you to go take him to mama, because mama can see straight through it.
Yeah, I would say the same for like even with dads. Like if you have a strong relationship with your dad, like my dad is African too, so like my dad does this thing, and I haven't brought a lot of guys home, but maybe like 2 or 3, and he takes them down to a basement.
Okay.
And then,
wow! You never told me this before.
You like baby girl, huh?
He takes them. It's crazy because he'll like take them down to a basement, and then like I remember one time I brought this guy home from high school. He took him down to a basement, and it was like I think it was my graduation barbecue. And so the guy came back up and he was sweating. And so really? Yes. I don't know what my dad said or what my dad did, but we weren't together that much longer after those conversations. But my dad was like, yeah, he's not a good one for you.
Yeah, he took him down to the sunken place.
I'm telling you.
Hey.
So my daughter, and she's a very special girl in my life.
Bring the tea. Bring the tea. Oh my God, that's good.
I just feel like it's just a rite of passage. Like you just can't. Like I know I wouldn't want to do. Like I hold my mom in very high regards, so I wouldn't want to just bring anything to my mom. Like if you made it to the stage where I want to introduce you to my mom, you have to have some type of good quality. Because I don't want my mom looking at me like, son, I know I raised you better than that. Like we did all of this, and this is what you feel for.
Hey, I got a question though. I got a question. So what if it's a situation where you're single, Shawty's single, but y'all don't known each other for a while? You never took her to meet your moms, you know, different state type deal.
I just feel like you have to earn those stripes. If you put in that work and you've gotten to that point in my life, then I would feel comfortable with bringing you to my mom. Because then by that time I have done all of my checking, I've done all my researching on you, so I can feel comfortable with me like, okay, mom, when she asks me questions, this is what she's doing career based. This is what she believes in.
I'm saying this is a friend of yours that you know all of that. And you there with your friends, but you know somebody made a move that night, and
you only can bring the real to my dukes. If she ain't the real,
how you know she not the real?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I said I haven't made it to y'all level, but I feel like you'll know when it's the real. She just, you know what I'm saying, great connection.
We see movies like it all the time. Like,
Brown sugar.
But wait, I was friends. But I want to go back to the whole thing when you said something about earn your stripes. What you mean by that?
You have to put in that work in the relationship where I feel comfortable enough, where I feel the connection, where I know we're going into a real direction.
Okay, it's going into something serious.
Right, it's going into something serious. If we're just empty dating, if I just know it's all surface level, there's no reason for me to bring it to my mom or me like grandma. Then they'd be like, okay, well, what happened to this girl? And I'm like, well, mama, it really wasn't like that. You know what I'm saying? She was just,
because you don't want moms or grandma to slip up and say the wrong name.
Look, and I done met y'all mom, and she don't play. She don't play about her son, so.
That's a fact.
Yeah, definitely. So, let me see here. All right, that was good. So, Derek, it is your turn again to answer a question.
All right, we're going to go back to the people's choice. When should a single entrepreneur male pursue a relationship? I think this is important, not necessarily just for entrepreneurs, but just for anybody in general. When you have yourself together in all aspects, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, you can't give yourself to someone when you're not a whole. So if you're only at 10% self or 15% self, that's the maximum percent you can give. The higher percentage that you are with getting yourself together, that's the amount you can give. So if you know that you aren't willing, that you're not in an area where you worked on yourself enough, like Bass said with the therapy piece, because you can do self therapy. If you're not in the point where you feel as though you're a whole person individually, you shouldn't try to pursue anything from that standpoint. And then I think another thing too, with being an entrepreneur, I think it's important to know what direction you're moving in your life. You can be out here and start up businesses, but if you don't know what direction you want to move in with your business and with your career as an entrepreneur, you need to make sure you know what direction your ship is sailing before you can have somebody else get on the boat.
Hey, you better say that.
Yeah.
And
I was gonna say I want to spin it to you too, Lance, because you're in that industry. Well, I shouldn't say industry, but that kind of screams. Yeah.
I honestly feel that your finance and financial shouldn't tie into a relationship. I personally think that if you're looking for characteristics with someone that matches yours, then they would naturally want to have the resources or be able to do the things that you would want to do to have a comfortable life. But I feel like if it's true love there, because I mean I've seen people who have had nothing and they have truly been in love with each other, and then you have people who have the world and truly hate each other. So I don't think finances should necessarily dictate. He doesn't have enough money, or he isn't financially at the place we wanted, but we're in love. I feel like finances can change at any instance. I mean, it can come and go. I feel like if I'm fully in love with someone and I just started a business, I feel like they should be there to go each step with me throughout the way, not let me make it first and then I'll get ready for it.
Yeah, and I'll spin it to Bassie too. Like, I know you're married, but I know you're an entrepreneur as well. Like, what is your take on that too?
But that's the question's for a single person, correct?
Yeah, just giving advice, because you're married and you have a successful business. Both you and your wife, y'all doing your own thing. But if they want to get to that point, what do you feel like? What type of advice would you give them? Because the grind of it all. Yeah, and it's a real grind. That's why I was about to go back to the single part, where I was going to say you need to be established before you even get in a relationship.
Oh, so different take.
Yeah, because it takes a lot of energy. If we didn't have the connection that we have now, because we a lot of time apart, a lot of times just being locked up in a room. Like, Margot's doing great. This is, babe, if you're listening, you're doing a great job. Like, she's in a whole different season right now, and I'm in a different season. So I got to recognize that, and I got to put some things on the back burner just so my wife can flourish. And it's going to keep going back and forth. But I feel like if you're single, bro, you need to go 100% for yourself first before you even start trying to aid somebody else. Yeah. So I'm looking at it from a different lens.
All right, Lance, so it's your pick now.
Okay, I'm see the viewer's choice.
All right.
Whether a male growing up with their father or not affects how he is in a relationship. I don't know if necessarily a father. I think if you just have that connection with someone as far as guiding you and teaching you morals and values. So I think that can be someone of different roles. But I think if you don't have anyone of that in your life to look up towards or to, I guess, help you grow or shape into the person that you're growing into, I think that can definitely affect your relationship. I'm a psychology major, so they do a lot of research on.
All right. Come on with those credentials.
Right. What's up?
With the parental relationships and how it affects our relationships long term. So I definitely think that plays a major role. I mean, because if you think about it,
negatively or positively?
Negatively. Okay. I mean, if you never experienced or felt love before, then how would you know how to provide it or how to adequately give it to someone else?
Okay. Do you feel like you can be taught that though, like at a later stage in life?
I definitely think you can. I think it might just be a little more tougher or more rigorous because you are kind of set in your ways when you get older. When you're younger, you're more prone to different environment. You're more of a sponge. You can be shaped in your thinking. So I definitely think you can learn that as an adult if you just have to be more willing and open to it. Okay. I think most adults kind of feel like, all right, I was listening to an interview earlier and it was a rapper. He was saying he didn't have his dad in his life and he was like, don't try to come make up for no time. Don't try to come do anything because I never had it before, so I don't want to know what it was that I was missing.
Yeah.
In essence, but I mean, I do think if you're open to it, you can learn that.
Okay.
I think another thing too to piggyback off that, if you have a father not in your life, it's important, like Lane says, just watch what's shaping you, because a lot of times, especially as black men, we turn to the streets and that's who raised us. And so from that standpoint, society is always going to steer you in the wrong direction if you don't have a solid foundation. Like if you don't know who you are, and I'm gonna get a little bit spiritual here. If you don't know who God is and that be part of in your life, then you're not going to be able to know what's the right direction. And so once you have a solid foundation and know spiritually how you're supposed to be directed and how you're supposed to move, then you can be able to learn with the willingness to learn how to love. Because love can be taught, and it can be taught early age or older age, but you have to be willing to learn. You have to
open to it.
Yeah.
I feel like the older you get, the more you realize where you're awful at, where you're good at, regardless if you have a father or not. So I feel like don't let that be your crutch. I do have a father, so that's why I ain't want to speak on it. But at the same time, I feel like I said, you know right from wrong. You've realized I've done this way, and I keep on getting this result. So let's say you turn 30, bruh, start doing something else.
Right.
Let's get biblical here. My scripture of the year is 1 Timothy 1:7. For God hasn't given us a spirit of fear, but of power and love and of a sound mind. You have a sound mind. You can make sound decisions.
Right.
Stop going down the same road. Stop turning right. How about we go left this time and do something else?
I like that. That is
do
very,
like
very
that.
good advice. Hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus. Thanks for dropping that, on us as far as like giving us that word. And I agree
You
with
can't
that.
use it as an excuse
You can't.
forever.
No.
Like you
Which is
can't. Like
true.
once you get to a certain age,
That's dead.
you know what you want. You
Yeah.
know what you should do. You know what you shouldn't. You know right from wrong. Like all three of you said. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I say from
Absolutely.
personal experience, I've noticed that with if you date a guy, maybe they had a rough upbringing or they didn't have mother or father in their life. It's like you said, I try not to, from personal experience, I try not to speak on it too much, like you were saying, Bass, because I don't know what that's like. But at the same time, you do have a sound mind, so don't use that as an excuse to stunt your growth.
Right.
Because I always felt like if you know what you didn't like or what you didn't have growing up, then you should strive to be the opposite of that.
Yeah.
You should strive to have what it was that you were lacking. So if you didn't have love, if you always felt pain growing up, you should want to turn the tables around for who's coming after you.
Right.
Yeah.
One thing that I've been watch a lot of YouTube, and he was talking about how he went to his mother and he asked her, what is one thing that I can consistently do that'll make you happy? And then he asked her, what is one thing since I was a child that I haven't developed? And this one thing, once I develop it, I can become successful. So regardless if you only got your moms, you can go to your moms and ask that same question. What is something that I'm lacking as a character flaw?
But then, some people feel like a woman can't teach a man how to be a man.
But then that comes with back to your insecurities. I mean, if you know what it is that you're striving towards, now if you don't know what it is that you're looking for, where you're trying to go, then you can have that type of mindset. But I mean, I feel like you can get knowledge or you can learn from anywhere or anywhere. So
Absolutely.
it's genderless.
Yeah, so I think the conversation has been amazing. You guys coming here and letting us know what the male perspective is and where you are in life and how that transitions or translates is pretty dope. So thank you guys so much.
Yes, we appreciate it
yeah.
so much.
Thank y'all for having me.
Yes.
Like I said, this is my version of the red table. Y'all are my version.
I love it.
I had to come in and share my little 2 cents, just to put it out there.
Well, you
I
still
love
have the
it. We
final
appreciate
thoughts
it.
left, though.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we were getting into, Chelsea. So just general takeaways for the audience. Things that maybe you've learned, things that you'd like to pass along, things that maybe you've already explained earlier in the episode, but you want to reiterate. And we can just kind of go around the table. Let's start with you, Derek, and then we'll just go around.
Okay, so this was some advice that I had gave to a young lady years ago. I should have taken that advice for myself when I gave it to her. It was out of spite when I did. But you have to know what you like. You have to be able to be comfortable with being who you are individually. You go to the park, by yourself, read a book by yourself, go out to eat by yourself. Because if you don't know who you are, you can't expect somebody to help you elevate yourself. Because you can't expect somebody, like we talked about earlier, you can't expect somebody to make you whole. You have to be whole yourself, and all they can do is elevate you to another level.
Okay.
That's good.
Yeah.
For me, I just wanted to drop a gem as well, I guess. I know for me, it would be understand that relationships have seasons. So your marriage has seasons. So I didn't look at it that way. I felt like previous relationships, we get to arguing and it's like, okay, hey, all right, do it again.
I'm out of here.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm back in these streets. But I just understanding through marriage that you guys can have trials and tribulations, but understand that it's a season and this too shall pass. And what can you learn in that season? Like I said right now, baby, if you're listening, you're doing a great job. Like, she's turning up. So it's a season where my wife is prospering and my business is doing well, but I got to understand where do I need to increase and decrease, just to make sure that my relationship is whole and one. So
yes,
understand seasons, man.
Absolutely. Reciprocity.
Yes.
Love it.
Snap.
I guess my takeaway was just learning from you guys for the most part. Like I said, I'm trying to reach marriage status.
Are you?
Okay. Hopefully. If it goes that way.
Right.
I guess my biggest thing though with as far as relationships, just my synopsis, you have to find your best friend. I think that'll be definitely the route for me. I feel like in a relationship, you have to confide, you have to grow, you have to have someone you can trust, you have to have someone that know your fears, your goals, your aspirations, what you like, what you don't like, and I think you got to be vulnerable. And if you allow someone to come into your life like that, and y'all allow that connection to grow organically, I feel like, as far as relationship wise, you could conquer the world.
Okay.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That was good.
Thank you guys so much for sharing your version of Shades of Perspective.
Yeah, definitely.
And
sure.
Seasons of Perspective. I like
Yeah.
that.
Drop some gems today for sure.
Yeah, so I feel like let's go around because I know we got some entrepreneurs in the room. Everybody go and give their social media plugs if you want people to follow. So I'll start. So you guys know you can find me outside of Melanin Confidential on Shay Jovan, and you can get all of your thrift picks, outfits of the day, thrift inspo. Like, I'm your girl for that.
I'm not a big social media heavy person, but you can follow the business page at Rafe ATL, Rafe Restaurant and Lounge. We're in College Park, Georgia. And it's definitely a lituation every weekend. So
I had my birthday there, so I can attest to that. It was lit.
Pull up on me.
So yeah, I'm not a huge social media person, but we do have a blog page for Pewside Chats. That's Chelsea and I getting together and sharing our experience of being a millennial couple and practicing purity up until our marriage. So feel free to follow that and look out for our new episodes that we post on a regular basis.
Okay.
It's good, y'all.
Yeah, it is.
Check it out.
For Bass, you can find me on Instagram at Stretch Soles. That's stretched with an ED at the end, SOLES. I basically provide shoes for people with big feet. All you little feet people, I don't even look your way. But just serving, it's all about serving. I got a servant's heart, so I'm just trying to serve my fellow giants out here because giants do reign supreme. And then as far as my wife, I got to plug my wife as well.
You better.
It's bougie_couture.
Nice.
You can follow her. She does a beauty counter, and she's just dope as can be. Yes. So definitely follow my wife, bougie_couture.
You can follow me at Chels_Janae. I'm your budget-friendly travel queen. And then, of course, like Derek said, we have our Pewside Chats as well, too.
And this is your girl V. You can follow me at Frugal Fashion Collective for all the thrift store finds that meets affordable luxury. So, we got to do a little bit of both.
I'm still trying to find my tag because you have the travel budget. Still don't have it. I don't know.
It's okay. There's always season 2, friend.
I'll get it by then, hopefully.
Nice.
All right, so of course you can follow us collectively at Melanin_Confidential. If you want to shoot us some feedback, you can hit us up on our email at melanin.confidential3@gmail.com.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining us for another episode of Melanin Confidential, where we're giving you real shades in every perspective. Until next time, we are over. Bye, guys. We love you.
Subscribe.